Hey guys and girls, you've seen the title of this video. Now, is it completely useless or is it the absolute perfect bike? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is this bike's brake horsepower. Yes, it is 222. Now, that is a phenomenal amount of power for a motorcycle. That is achieved by the bike itself, the Akrapovic, and also the Sprint P08 air filter. Now, 222 brake horsepower for me, I'm going to say it's absolutely useless. But you don't have to use 222 brake horsepower all the time. What I do is about 70% of the time I have this bike in wet mode. Now that is massively reduced power, but don't let that fool you because that is still a very, very fast bike. But you've seen the sort of rides, for those who have watched my videos before, the type of riding that I like to do. Nice and tight twisters, you know. I don't need an incredible amount of horsepower for that. And I prefer, with my style of riding and where I'm at with motorcycling, I do prefer a smoother delivery because I'm not at that level yet. The 222 horsepower, you know, I mean, this bike is, I think it's 215 horsepower standard. It is designed around tracks and professional riders. So for me, with the settings that you can change and have it in a lower power mode, it's absolutely perfect. And I mean that because then if you do want to jump up, if you get a little bit more confident, you can then put it into a medium power mode or even a sport or even full power mode. So the options are there. So in that sense, the bike is absolutely perfect. Right, so the next thing, yes, it is the winglets we are going to discuss. Now, Ducati themselves describe them as biplane wing configuration. Okay, now the downforce on these wings is 28 kilograms, 168 miles an hour. Will that benefit me in any way? No, but these wings offer one thing which a lot of people don't know, I especially didn't know. They offer 2% water speed in the radiator, so it actually helps with cooling. Now, I didn't know that, but I find that very interesting. We've talked about downforce. We've talked about how it helps the bike cool. Now, for me, there is something that I benefit from these bikes, from the wings on the bike, and that is they offer a lot more stability with corner entry. So, you know, with the cost of the bike and how I ride it, I'm happy to have the wings on if they're going to offer me that little bit of extra protection and security. And on top of that, I'm just going to say it, I think they look absolutely class. I love them. Now, if you don't like them, you can actually remove the wings and get covers, and you can get covers from the top wings and for the bottom wings. So you do actually have that option if you're not a fan of them. One thing I would just like to say, ladies and gentlemen, is all the comments and the conversations I have with people on the videos, I genuinely really appreciate it. It just brings more of a human element to what I'm doing, and it's just nice having conversations with nice people like yourselves. So yeah, if you're happy to comment and have a little conversation, then that is it helps me out, and it's that, you know, I quite enjoy it. So yeah, thank you very much. Right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the Akrapovic half system slip-on. It's £3,500. It's a lot of money, and the questions you're probably asking are, is it worth it? Do you get 3.5 grand's worth of sound out of it? And I'm going to tell you, yes, you do. I've ridden this bike with, you know, with the exhaust for many miles, and the sound is music to my ears, even though it's bloody loud. I do sometimes wear earplugs, and it doesn't take away that beautiful throaty V4 sound. What it does is it just reduces it to a comfortable level. Now, I've heard friends of mine ride the bike off into the distance, and the sound, I could genuinely listen to it all day. Now, Ducati Sunderland fitted this exhaust for me when I bought the motorcycle, so big shout out to them. If you are interested in any bikes or in the Northeast, they are the place to go. They're the nicest set of lads. All of them are now friends, so that just goes to show what a beautiful service they offer. So yeah, it's a very throaty sound. I tell you what I'll do, I'll play you a little bit. Here we go. Right, so there you are, you've heard it, and you can see for yourselves, but I will say one thing. What you're hearing on the phone and what I hear in real life are two completely separate things. It's not a true representation of how good this sounds. So if you like the sound of it on the video, then you will you will just be in awe when you hear it in real life. So yeah, so for me, a lot of money, but I do think it is worth it. It's beautiful. Right, the next thing, which probably a lot of you didn't think I would mention, are the tyres. Now, these are Pirelli Rosso 2 tyres. These are not cheap. They're about 650, £700 to be fitted to your bike. You know, it is an eye-watering amount of money. But here's the thing, you know, there is the side of the argument where you think, well, I'm not going to benefit from these super sticky race tyres. But with that in mind, I do, even though it's a very fast bike, I do think about my safety a lot in very small ways. Now, for me, if you're going to get a bike of this level, a performance bike, get the performance tyres. It's no point going for cheaper tyres. It just doesn't fit right with me. Don't get me wrong, you know, I don't ride incredibly quick, but when I go around corners, you know, I do push it to a comfortable level, but also fast. So for me, you've got to get decent tyres for a decent bike. So for the cost of this bike, nearly 30,000, is it absolutely useless for me, or is it perfect? So yes, it's a lot of money, which I do appreciate. Now, I'm going a little bit into sort of off into a slightly different topic of conversation, but with me, motorcycling has been a passion of mine for a very, very long time. I used to have the picture of the 999 on the wall when I was a kid growing up, and then the 1098, and I remember when I first saw my first 1098, and it was just, I think it was the 1098S, I believe, or maybe the R. We're talking a long time ago, and yeah, the term is on, and it started up, and it just blew my mind. And I just thought maybe one day I can get a bike similar to that. Now, it depends on what you do. So a lot of people like to spend thousands each year and go away on holiday 3 times a year, which is amazing. I'm a firm believer of do what makes you happy. I'm not really into holidays. It's just never really got my juices flowing, so to speak. The one thing that I love is motorcycle riding, and the other thing I love is Ducatis. So that is something that I don't do. So where people will be spending money going into exotic places around the world, I put my money into this motorcycle. And yes, I understand it is a lot of money, but that's what keeps me thirsty. That's what keeps me working hard. For some of you already know, but I run my own business. I've got a small double glazing business in the northeast of England. At the end of the day, I'm the one that's getting up at crazy hours in the morning. I'm going to sales calls at 9:30 at night to try and sell some windows to earn money to be able to afford nice things. So I'm very blessed, very privileged to have this bike. So for me, no, it's a ridiculous amount of money, but for me, it's not useless at all. It's perfect. I wouldn't change it in a million years. Right, so we've discussed lots of the things on the bike which I will not take full advantage of because of my level of riding. Hopefully you guys think of me, I always think of myself as quite modest. I never say I'm a professional rider or amazing or anything like that. But yeah, so the bike, all in all, if I'm being honest, I kind of probably use about 25% of its full capability, and that's when I'm really pushing it, you know. So at the end of the day, is it worth it? Well, yes, it is. You know, you can adapt this motorcycle in many different ways, from power delivery to what type of tires you have on, to the noise, so many different things. You can sort of tailor it for yourself. Now, the electronics on the motorcycle are very, very advanced. Again, sometimes you can have the bike in low power mode, okay, but you can have it in the race setting. So you can have stiff suspension, okay, you can have a very, very sensitive throttle, but the power will be quite low. So you can really swap and chop and change all the different settings on the bike. So you can, there's hundreds of different configurations you can do on the bike to adapt it for your personal preference. So in the power sort of range of things, yes, it's absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's amazing. It's great. And everything else we've discussed, from exhaust to wings and all that sort of stuff, you know, at the end of the day, I absolutely adore this bike. So for me, it's just not useless at all. But yeah, I would like to say, whoever's watched this video, I really, really appreciate the time that, you know, you guys taking time out of your day to watch it and support me. It's really good. And if you could give it a like and a subscribe, it would really mean a lot. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, or if you've got any advice for me or things I can improve on in the videos, then again, please feel free to message. And as always, I hope everybody out there is riding safe and comes back home to their families in one piece and nice and safe. Thank you again for watching, and I wish you all the very best.